let's hop right into this build. This is what my client asked for. So my husband cut out, my templates per usual. And I pretty much had to play Tetris with these letters to try to get as many as possible on one board. I bought 2 sheets. She wanted the letters at 6 feet tall. So yeah, that's what we did. So now that we got it adjusted to how we want it, we are just tracing it per usual. And we're going to save this coroplast for later. That's what I will use to cover the face of the foam letters. And you'll see towards the end what I mean. I had gotten almost all the letters onto this one board, except 2. The M is pretty huge. So yeah, I'll get another sheet and trace the M and the I onto that sheet. So when you draw these letters, you want to try to leave spacing so that your hot wire can easily cut through it without cutting another letter. So maybe like 2 or 3, no, I'm not gonna say 2 or 3. A bunch of these did not have a lot of spacing. So when I cut, I don't have a lot of rest space. I have to maintain my straight cut all the way through. Now that I have all my pieces traced out, let's prepare to cut. So as I'm cutting, keep in mind that the table is only a certain length wide for me to cut from the hot wire cut point all the way to the back piece, that silver back piece that you see right behind the bead. So at some points you'll see me cut all the way up and I get stuck and I have to go back the exact way that I initially cut from. So the bee worked out perfectly because I can push it forward to release the bee. So now I'm about to face a bit of trouble trying to release the other letters. And it's difficult trying to maneuver a 8-foot board. So as each letter comes off, it's way easier to control. But you can see here where I'm about to hit the pole and I can't go any further. So I have to go back the route that I came in order to release my cut. And I have to find another way to release the letter. And yeah, I'm about to get stuck a few times, so let's just watch this play out. And let's try another direction. And the next one. And another one. So it's like playing a few games in one. I know for one I'm playing Operation, because if I cut too deep in, I'll be gluing pieces back together. And then, yeah, a couple different games going on here. So at this point, I've had to completely flip the whole sheet of foam. We're going to try a different approach from the other end. And y'all, I finally got a winner. All right, now let's free up these two letters. Now you have to be careful not to graze any of them. So when they're that close, I try to stay in the middle without touching neither black line. just like that, we have our C. You can see how tall this thing is. I think all the letters were about 30 inches. My husband nodded, yeah. He know. All right, so on to the letter E. Let's cut off all the extras. I try to put like the letters that have the long lines on the factory cut edge because I know those are straight. Or at least straighter than what I would cut. I cut pretty straight, but to make life easier, I try to put, like, let's just say the A's. The A has a long line. The E's definitely have a long line. The B's have a long line. R's, letters like that. I try to keep it on the factory cut part of the foam sheet to make it easier, and that way I don't have to cut that one part. The trick to cutting a straight line with this hot wire table is making sure you find your rest point and keeping the pace nice and steady. Anytime I get tired, as long as I have space to rest, I'm gonna rest. Now you can only rest it in one spot for so long before it starts to heat the foam and want to burn it really, really badly. So you'll see me constantly moving. I'll rest and then I'll get back to it. Rest and get back to it. But don't be afraid to take a break. But it's truly about finding where you are comfortable cutting. Some people cut sitting down, some people cut standing up. It depends on how big the piece is, whether I can sit down or not, if I can see over it comfortably. But I try not to move my hand. I try to keep everything still and at a steady pace. And that's all. That's the whole trick to it. See, after I cut this piece, how immediately afterwards the wire gets cold. I couldn't even take it off. And I didn't want to break the line. Yeah, it's a great feature. It also comes with the foot pedal. I never used the foot pedal. I don't even know why. I prefer to just turn it on and off. The foot pedal reminds me of the hot knife. If you've ever used a hot knife before, where you push the trigger, I guess you would call it, and it heats up to a certain degree, and then once you let it go, it cools down, and then once you push it again, it heats back up. I guess that makes sense because you have more control. But then I feel like I'll be worried about too much. I'll be worried about trying to make sure it stays heated to a certain degree, making sure my foot is on it. It's too much. It's too much for me to worry about while I'm trying to cut this perfect line. And here is the finished E that can barely fit on the screen. So we just had someone come and help us clean up our shop. And we decided to barter some services. I posted about helping me clean up this shop, and she was adamant about helping. Like, normally I don't take people seriously because I know that they expect something in return, but she was so genuine from the heart. And yeah, I said, once I cut this foam, I'm going to make sure that I clean it up after myself, because that warehouse cannot get back how it was. And I'm just appreciative that she even came and got dirty, because she definitely got dirty. So if you're looking, I appreciate you, girl. Thank you. And don't get it twisted. I'm all about a barter. If you could do something for me and I could do something for you, I definitely will look out in that manner. It's not always about dollars, cash, money. Look at that trash. Goodbye. But yeah, thank you again. Okay, let's get back to it. Got my area cleaned back up so I can walk around. I hate tripping over stuff anyways. So you see what I mean, what I was saying earlier, when I draw the B lined up on the factory edge of the sheet. So I don't have to cut that long part of the B. And it's already perfect. I don't have to do anything. But this is real time. I think this is real time. If it's not, I'm still about to speed this up. Let's get through this together. All right, and if you haven't seen my videos before, in order to cut out the center, we're just going to cut straight through the item. Straight through the letter. Let's go. I was trying to decide what is the best point for me to cut, whether from the top, because I knew I wasn't going to be gluing the letters back together. Once I am ready to rest, I just pull away from the black lines or the lines that we drew from our template. So once I get to this corner, I'll probably do the same thing so that I can turn the foam how I need to. Yep. And once I get to the top point, I will turn off my machine and push it back through where we came in at. And I try to open it up a little bit so that the wire can come out easily. All right, we did the top part of the B, and now let's work on the bottom. And yes, you see me without a mask. You guys, I do have the fan blowing super duper hard. And it's blowing away from my face. And anytime I cut super close, I hold my breath. I know that's not a good technique to follow, but sometimes the mask gets so sweaty and foggy and I break out. Even after cleaning it, sometimes I like to work like this. But no, truly, the machine only smokes when you're sitting in one area for a long period of time or after it finishes cutting. That's the only time. While you're cutting, it doesn't smoke as badly as people think. All right, so we still have this whole half a sheet, more than half a sheet left, because look at how tall it is. Yeah. Still got a bunch of letters to cut out on top of the other 2 letters that's on the other board. So yeah, let's get back to it. And I am about to hit. I thought I could get to it, but I could not. So out we go. And if you can see those 2 A's right there on the corner, I literally have maybe a finger of space left to cut. Yeah, I couldn't get to it. Did not get to it. Now, what I could have did was take the hot knife and cut it off. But if you're not cutting a perfect squared off line, then you risk cutting the foam. So maybe the back side of the letter A would have been chipped or something like that. So unless it's a big piece where I know I can make it, I won't cut with the knife. You'll see when I cut out the other MI on the other sheet, when I use the hot knife safely without compromising any other pieces. And this foam is so thick, I have to punch it out. Okay, and now we have these treble A's. that just don't want to let go of each other, and boom. You see how little that cut was? Yeah. Took all of that just to get that. So I think it's important to move the straggle pieces. It's a lot of the times where, let's just say, the inside of the A is cut out and I leave it in there. It'll get caught on the end of the table when I'm trying to move back and forth. The little open lines that you see right there on the closer to the outside of the table, it can get stuck in there. And if you're trying to move swiftly across your board, you can't because the pieces are just in the way. So yes, after a bunch of my cuts, if I feel like it's in my cutting space, then I will move it. But please move it at your own risk. Take your time. Do not try to, remove it before it's released, before it's fully cut. Like, just take your time because that wire is nothing to play with. And truly, if I'm done with the cut, you'll see me turn off the machine the majority of the time. And I know this is a lot of letters, but just think of it as therapeutic. Sometimes when I'm in the warehouse by myself and I know I have a lot of letters to cut, I just vibe. It's really like painting. Like how artists paint their work, it's just me working. And shucks, on TikTok, I'll go live just to let people watch. Some people like to just sit and look. So my husband is able to grab an image and make majority of the lines for the image, like how the client sent us the Miami Beach letters. We could not find the font, but he was able to duplicate the letters to the best of his ability. And he forgot to do the full H. So all I'm doing is going back and making sure that the bottom part of the H is squared off, because he didn't square it off. And that's all right. I check that type of stuff for me. For him, for me. And here we are again. Let's get this thing cleaned back up. You gotta keep your area clean. at the final 2 letters. You see my MIA. Now here's the MI. So yeah, we were trying to see the best way to put the letters so that I can have enough space, because we still had to make the 2 bars for the letters to stand on. You can see those lines at the bottom. So what I thought would be smart was to cut the M and the I out with the hot wire table. And I can't do it. It's just, I can't not do it. So ended up getting a hot knife. And that's what I was saying earlier. You push the button down, and also you have to remain straight up and down. You have to make sure that your hand does not sway left to right, because otherwise you'll be cutting into the letter itself. And you don't want that. But I don't like cutting with the hot knife. I do not. As far as carving, yes. Cutting, no. See, that hot knife got my foam looking like cheese holes in there. Yeah, let's cut that off. Right. Ain't no gap. That was tough. I thought I could go for a break. Got to see it through, my boy. Cheers, man. Hey, I know many of you are waiting on part 2 of the number entrance to the 30. It's coming. Some things got mixed up with editing, and the videos were super duper long, and I gotta erase files in order to continue to edit it. So it's coming. I promise. But yeah, for right now, just enjoy this. It will be coming. It gotta be this week. I gotta get it out. All right, back to your regularly scheduled program. And we are officially on the last cut. Woo! That was a lot of letters. All right, y'all. And now here's my daughter. She's going to take us out.
Okay, now.
Let's go. Do it. Come on, do it. You have 22 seconds.
And not a stranger to love. You know the rules. And so do I. And regulations what I'm thinking of. You know the game and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, try to get you to understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.